What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Learning Culture Podcast. I am your host, Andrew Barry, and this is a special edition episode called Good to Great ICs. ICs stands for individual contributors. Now, why individual contributors? Because I think they are becoming an increasingly important role in companies of the future. There is increasing evidence every single day about how ICs are able to make more impact on their own thanks to AI, and how they are actually learning management skills to manage AI agents. In this edition of the podcast, we talk to leaders about what it really takes to grow as an individual contributor. So, whether you're an IC yourself looking for advice to grow your career, or you're responsible for developing ICs, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
Frank, welcome to Good to Great ICs.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it. And we're going to start with your experience working as an IC. And I want to take you back to one specific moment where you had an aha that as an IC that completely changed how you show up at work.
Yeah. I'd say this is probably the biggest moment I had was when I joined a new organization. I was new in HR, had very little background in the space. It was about a month into my role when GE Capital announced they'd be divesting all their business and all the business lines within it.
Mm,
And I quickly realized that there was no way that I was going to be able to be best positioned to win this deal, solution it. And so there was a quick reframe in my mind, which was that I'm not an IC. My job is to get everybody in the company, including the most senior resources, to work for me. And I went out and basically articulated why it was critical that they help me to make sure that we won this deal, whether it was them being on a call on a Sunday night to help reshape the deck
mm,
or being part of the pricing conversation. And from then on, I never looked at being an IC as truly being a solo mission. It was always around how I could be the most successful person in the business by getting all of the most successful people in the business to work for me. And that mindset shift of, I don't care if you're the CEO, you work for me as we're trying to bring in this big logo. And when you approach everything like that, people, I don't want to say they fall in the line, but I think they're actually quite happy to be of
mm.
support of winning business for the organization.
Yeah, when you articulate a common vision. So I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think that is going to become more and more a key skill. What you're describing is basically this ability to influence without direct authority. And I'm going to go a little off script here, but I have to ask a follow-up question. What do you think was key in that specific example you mentioned that got people like your CEO aligned? What did you do that helped with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first piece is really being able to just say, this is, particularly given the size of the deal, this is critical to us growing our business. And then be able to link it to future opportunities. This was a massive M&A opportunity. If we won this deal and were able to show that we were the provider that supported this, think about any other time an M&A deal came about, we would be able to say we were the best in class in supporting this. And so I was meticulously documenting everything through the sales process, all the way through implementation, delivery, capturing testimonials, doing every single thing, so that when this situation did come up again with Starwood Hotels and they were being acquired by Marriott, it was incredibly easy for me to win that deal. When Time Inc. Was being acquired by Meredith, similarly, it was incredibly easy for me to win that deal because I had the experience and I was able to show that I had deep expertise along with an organization that was going to support this. And so it was really about thinking about how do I get each stakeholder to see that this is way bigger than the immediate opportunity. This is something to help us differentiate ourselves in the market.
Hmm, I love that. Okay, now if you could go back to younger Frank and whisper one piece of advice, what would that be?
You know, younger Frank might have already figured this one out because social media was different. I'll just say it was different at the time. When I first started, it was considered very negative to push or promote anything on LinkedIn apart from like a change in job title, a promotion, or some sort of corporate communication of which your organization wanted you to pump out. But what I would have done was I would have invested more in my personal brand early on. And what I mean by that is I've been hosting these CHRO dinners for 7 years, and they were really the best kept secret. All the top CHROs knew about them, particularly if they'd been invited. They've seen my name several times. But the reality was nobody else knew about them. And without with being challenged by someone on my team who said, why don't you write about these on LinkedIn? And I said I felt really uncomfortable doing it. And so this person actually wrote my LinkedIn post and said, I'm going to write it for you. Just tell me what happened at the dinner, who showed up, and get me a picture. That post went insanely viral, and I started having CHROs reaching out to me saying, can you please include me in the next dinner? And so this changed everything. This actually led to the organization that I work for now at Ronstadt, where this is now my full-time job, which is investing in the HR community and helping us elevate our level of relationship across the companies most important to us growing our business. And so without that little thing of just having some ability to promote yourself um, in a careful way, right? I think I would have done that a lot earlier, and it would have possibly opened up far different paths at a more accelerated pace.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. And just start posting, sharing, building in public. You never know where that's going to lead. It's great stuff. Okay, so last question then for you, Frank. When you think of a high potential individual contributor on your team now, when you spot someone like that, what's the first thing you do to develop them?
Yeah, this probably goes hand in hand with the last question, but it's really thinking about people who are great at their craft, which is being able to articulate what an organization's problems are, being able to play them back, and then structure a solution of which how you can support them versus pushing your wares on a potential prospect. They already get it. Now, the way that I think you can massively unlock their capability is getting them to think about how do I support that individual? And the reality is people buy from people and people buy from people they like. But for so many sellers, they immediately think about what is it that I have in my bag of which I can sell to this company. If you're already out of that and you're thinking about what is this organization's challenge and how can I map a solution, then the real unlock is how do I help this individual become more successful in their career or in their life? And so the more you can get to understand their personal ambitions, their passions, um, you can then start to think about how I can be of service to these individuals. So I spend a ton of time getting to know the individuals that I work with or that I hope to meet with in advance. And it's never been easier today to then to understand what's important to individuals and how you can be relatable to them, and then how you can be of service to them. And so I think that's the biggest thing. I'd say everybody's got a to-do list, but how many people actually have a people plan? And so who are the people that are most important to growing your business? And how are you going to be intentional about serving those individuals?
Mm,
Knowing that if you do the right things um, enough times with the right people, you'll get to the right outcomes.
that is rock solid, Frank. That's it. That's for the show. I mean, you've given three really solid pieces of advice here. I thank you for taking your time and coming on Good to Great ICs.
Yeah, well, great for having, thanks for having me. It was great to be here today.